Thank you very much, Mr. Halama, for your time this morning. So the majority of your members have accepted government's final wage offer of a 1.5 increase and that non-pensionable cash allowance. These negotiations took place at such a sensitive time, given that your members are operating on the front lines of COVID-19, and no doubt industrial strike action would lead to inevitable loss of life. Did that play a role in the decision-making process, almost forcing your hand, as it were?
Good morning, Andy, and the viewers. I think you've hit the nail on its head with that. As you are aware, that Hospersa represents majority healthcare workers, and these are frontline workers that have been on the front line of the COVID pandemic since last year already. If you can recall, government did not implement salary increases in 2020. Therefore, these members have been waiting for an increase all this time. It's been a very frustrating process, and I can tell you that amongst all the public servants, healthcare workers are amongst the most deserving of a salary increase. Our hand was, in a way, forced, and they are also admitting that fact that, look, this is not an offer that they would ordinarily accept, but given the current economic climate in the country, they are, in a way, forced to a corner to accept this offer.
1.5% is well below inflation, so I can just imagine those families struggling to make ends meet. How far does that additional cash allowance go towards making a real difference in your members' lives?
It makes quite a significant difference, Andy, especially when you look at the lower earning members who are on the below end, your level ones, all the way maybe to your level 6 of the public servants, in that ordinarily any CPI increase would not amount to that 1,000 plus 1,200 rand cash injection. So it does make quite a huge significance to those ones, especially the ones at the low income side.
So we know that those cash allowance is also going to be backdated to the 21st of April. But I want to talk about the term of this contract. Often government attaches an extended fixed term to these kinds of contracts, for instance, 3% for the next 3 years. Has that been the case here, or will negotiations for another increase take place next year?
Negotiations for another increase will take place next year, because this agreement is only going to be implemented up until the end of March next year, and then we negotiate again, looking at maybe the economic climate might have improved. But I must add, Anley, is that even though as public servants, as Hospersa, we've accepted the offer, there's still other unions in the bargaining council that are still weighing their options on whether to accept this offer. We are still sitting at probably around 38% of the sector that the public servants that have accepted the offer. We are waiting for the other unions to publicly come out and state whether they accept or reject this offer. Hopefully, if they get a positive mandate as well, it will mean that this agreement is in place until March end of next year, and then we'll start negotiating again for a new agreement.
So you've begrudgingly accepted the 1.5%, stating a little bit earlier that that is much lower than your members would ordinarily accept. What would you say would have been a fair increase given the economic climate, the pandemic and the recent unrest?
I think when we look at the healthcare workers, Andy, that there's a bit more that probably government could have put on the table. For instance, incentives like your risk allowance incentives, which we're still waiting for government to make a representation on that. A 1.5% increase, when you look at what we managed to secure for maybe at Netcare, for example, where we also negotiate for our members there. At Netcare, we managed to secure a 4.5% increase, whereas compared to in the public sector, now we've only managed to secure 1.5. So I think maybe if government would have pushed its percentage a little bit higher to get closer to that 4.5%, I think that would be something that probably our members would ordinarily look at accepting. Obviously, adding to that with the risk allowance, which our members have been calling for, in that they are currently working in a very strenuous environment, in a very highly infectious environment, and we feel that their lives are more at risk than they were in 2019 before the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, thank you for your time this morning. That was Kelvin Halama from Hospersa talking to us about the 1.5% increase.